Rejoice, rejoice everyone, we've found King Dicky. Whoa, there was a panic there for a minute though, wasn't it though? I didn't know where he was for a little while, neither did anyone else, and we've spent a lot of money looking for him. We've managed to dig him up out of that car park where he was doing no harm at all, but we've managed to dig him up from the car park, and now we're all going to have a row about where we're going to put him. But never mind, because we found him. Whew. It's Tuesday, which means there's some naughtiness about. In the middle of the night, 67-year-old Constant Romano had had enough of his flipping chicken making noise in the yard out the back. So he picked up a knife and went out into the backyard, promptly to take a swing at the chicken and shut it up once and for all. The thing is that he wasn't a very good swinger. That sounds like something else, but it's not what I mean. I mean with the knife. And as he took a swing at the poor chicken, it moved, and he managed to slice the tip of his willy off. Now, I don't know how bad a shot you have to be, but it does get a little worse, because the dog that was with him clearly thought that there was a midnight feast in the offering, and promptly shot across the yard and ate what was left of the man's todger. So the dog had a good night, so did the chicken, but he didn't. Stuart Keane, who's a carpenter from Wantage, obviously works for some sort of Crash and Bash Builders Limited, because he was finishing off his DIY project, which was a nice big cabinet for the house. And he was doing really well, and it was looking very nice. And he was there working away when all of a sudden, with the saw, he managed to cut his penis off. Like you do. Nevertheless, the cabinet didn't get finished. But how the hell, with a handsaw, do you cut your penis off? That's just... What, was he naked? What? Getting a bit excited, was he, doing his cabinet? Jesus Christ. If you're a young romantic and you want to take flowers for your girlfriend, I strongly advise that you don't take geraniums stuffed up the urethra of your penis. If you don't know what your urethra of your penis is, it's the tiny little hole at the tip. Because the thing is, if you do stuff a geranium up there, you need to remember that geraniums have tiny little spikes on the stem of the plant. So when your girlfriend receives the flowers, in all a bit of a passionate moment, and decides to pull them out, it's not going to do the inside of your urethra any good at all, is it? And actually, in the end, you're going to need a plastic surgeon to put it all back together for you. Time, work and money are precious in India, as in most countries. But when this Indian factory worker realised that he could get a little bit of a thrill by placing his bits against his vibrating machinery, it seemed to make the time at work pass by a lot quicker. The only thing was that his machinery had a lot of moving parts, and one day they managed to split open his scrotum. I can't even imagine the pain. But it managed to split open his scrotum, and not wanting to lose a day's pay, the Indian worker promptly went to the manager's office and borrowed a staple gun and stapled his scrotum back together. He continued on to the end of the day and collected his pay. Nevertheless, the next day didn't come to work. An older man called Huang was paying visits to a young girl at night who was only 18. This went on for a little while, until eventually his wife found out. She wasn't best pleased, but nevertheless she put a brave face on it and asked for a divorce, to which Huang said, no. Never mind, because normally in China, whatever the man says, goes. So Huang thought he got away with it. Until a couple of years later, when he appeared to have a very bad bout of diarrhea, probably from Mrs. Wang's cooking. And he said to Mrs. Wang, do you have some medication for me? To which she replied yes, and promptly gave him a handful of sleeping pills, which was nice because he got a really good kip. The only thing is that when he woke up in the morning, she had completely removed his testicles and his penis with a blunt knife. They're not married anymore, and I'm not too sure what's happened to Mrs. Huang, but Mr. Huang has a very high-pitched voice. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.